another beautiful Sunday afternoon. This is Rubbin Minds. Welcome. My name is Ebuka. Great to be back with you guys. I know I've been away for just a little bit, and I'm grateful that you guys have stuck with us through this. It's been an interesting week or weeks in Nigeria, of course. It's day 552 days since over 200 girls were abducted from the government secondary school in Chibok. They are still in the news, of course. President Buhari was interviewed on Al Jazeera, I think, a couple of days ago, and he did mention the fact that the federal government had an idea where the girls are, and they're only worried about rescuing them because they want them out alive. You know, we've heard a lot of talk about negotiations and things along those lines. We don't know what the situation will be eventually, but we just hope that they will be found alive, and hopefully all of them, if that's still possible. And the fact that the federal government says they have an idea where they are sort of gives us hope as to the fact that they will be rescued eventually. But there's a lot that's happened in the week that was, like I said, and I have special guests here with me to talk about it. With me here, Seyitan, Atigarin, thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
And of course, Dotun, Ogunlela, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
So let's start with the Seyitan now, and of course the girls. Like I said, President Buhari was on Al Jazeera. He did say categorically that the federal government had an idea where the girls were. And I think that says a lot.
Yes,
but
it does.
he also did say that he was worried about going in because he wanted to make sure they were safe whenever they were coming out. Negotiations have been mentioned. What are your thoughts on that whole scenario?
Well, first of all, I watched that interview, and it was quite interesting to have, to have the president say that. First off, for him saying that he knows where they are,
Has an idea.
I'm not quite convinced, because I feel that if they actually did know where they were, they would have retrieved the girls. I'm still, like you said before, I'm still worried. I don't think they are all in the same place, first off. I think they've probably been scattered around. Some of them are probably pregnant. God forbid, some of them might have been killed. And then even by the time they are brought back, there's a possibility that we're going to spend, millions of naira trying to rehabilitate them and make sure that they're fine. But at the end of the day, we still need to realize that time is a factor here. The more time they waste, the more time these girls are being tortured and being forced to do things that they don't want to do. So it's very important that if they know where they are, then they should go in and get these girls back. That's what I feel personally.
Yeah, her account kind of tallies with what a lot of the girls who have escaped, over time have been saying, that not all the girls are together anymore. We've heard about some of them being married off to other countries. Yes. Some of them have allegedly being used as suicide bombers. That we can't confirm, of course, but there's a lot of stories about these things. Them having an idea, does it mean that maybe we'll have a couple of them there? Would rescuing 60 at this point be enough for you?
Well, I mean, it's hard to quantify or measure what would be enough, because I mean, I can't speak for the parents of the girls, and coming from that perspective, nothing will be enough, really, to be honest. So I hope, I'm trying to be optimistic, that most of them will be found, if not all of them. And, the reports of recent bombings that we've had, the perpetrators being female, that also raises certain eyebrows that, we hope that
they're not the ones being used.
They're not the ones being used. So I don't know about 60 being enough, but I fervently pray that they're all found, or most of them are found, and in sensible condition for them to be rehabilitated.
But you get a sense that the federal government is doing enough so far?
I'm not.
This government now, it's a new government.
I'm not pleased. I'm not. Because there were a lot of promises made during the campaign season. There were a lot of promises made. Even in his inaugural speech, President Buhari promised, that move about moving the base to Maiduguri and all that. And then there's been a spike in bombings in Maiduguri recently. So, well, I'm hoping there's some groundwork that we aren't seeing that's being done. I'm hoping that they're making some massive moves that will become visible in the coming weeks, hopefully. So he said, I remember recently he said something about December. So let's hope that works. Yeah. But,
that was something he also reiterated in the interview.
He kept saying, he kept saying December, and, the reporter kept saying, are you sure this December? What happens when December comes and then there's nothing? Would you resign? Would you step out of office? Would you, what are you going to do? And then I keep saying I wasn't very taken aback about what the president said. He just kept saying, well, if we don't find them by December, then we will have to go back and regroup, and then we have to now start. So you know, it's still trying to figure out what it is these people are actually doing.
Just to shift a little bit from security matters now, but still on the issue, are you also offended, using that word very loosely now, by what a lot of Nigerians say is the fact that Mr. President always seems very willing to grant interviews to international media, but almost never does anything with the local media here? There's almost always one every month, Al Jazeera, Christiana Mampo, the New York Times, but we've had, I think, just one with the NTA locally. Do you find that a little... or it doesn't matter to you at all?
Okay. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm not really offended.
Saying I'm offended is too strong a word.
Yeah.
But maybe to some Nigerians it's a bit insensitive, because at the end of the day, we're the ones that voted him in, not Amampo, not no one in Al Jazeera. So yes, I mean, it would be great to hear from him addressing his electorate, you know, we who voted for him. But no, not offended. Yeah, at least we hear from him somehow.
Yeah, exactly. We hear what he has to say, whether it's on Amampo or it's on Al Jazeera. We take what we get. Yeah. Exactly. So it's not. I'm not offended.
So we're still talking about Boko Haram now. It's hard to now, from a layman's point of view now, from the citizen's point of view now, what do you think should be done differently now? Because it seems like whatever strategy he's coming with, you know, he's working now with our neighbors very strongly. The base has moved to Maiduguri, so they are on ground. More troops have been put in. What else should be done, seeing as people are still being killed? It's almost like, what are we now doing wrong, or what are we not doing? It's
funny that you mentioned that on our drive down here, we're talking about it like, you know, are we winning the war or are we losing? And I was saying that, fine, you know, the US, you know, they've promised to help. They're helping. They might not be, you know, on ground, but they're, you know, at least we have these equipment that they're using to, you know, fight the war. But then, if you look at it, if you look at the nitty-gritty, for example, every time you watch those Boko Haram videos, you always see at least 3 or more tankers in the background. Okay, fine, we're winning now. We're fighting this war, but for once we've never heard that they've retrieved, you know, a huge amount of, you know, guns or ammunition or these tankers, for example. So they say one thing and then we're kind of like seeing another thing. Personally, and this might be just going off base, but personally, if we got someone like Putin on our side, who kind of, you know, was able to combat ISIS and, you know, get that resolved in such a short amount of time, it might be drastic, but maybe we need something that's drastic to put an end to it, because they've moved to Maiduguri and now we're seeing spikes in the numbers. What is actually happening? It might be like a war.
Are there really spikes, though?
Yeah,
well, yes, more attacks. I mean, I've heard in the last few weeks, I've heard about at least 2, 3 in Maiduguri, yes.
So it's, yeah, I think let's just go.
Putin might be a stretch. I don't know if a lot of people will buy that idea.
I feel if there's a problem, then you go to the root cause. Who are the financiers? Who are the backers?
Shouldn't you know that by now? Boko Haram is about 6, 7 years old.
So that's should be, because in the last administration we had a lot of, oh yes we know but my hands are tied kind of thing. I have a bit more confidence in Buhari in terms of being able to, you know, move into action. So I think is just going to the root cause and removing whatever the source is, the people financing them, the people backing them, the people helping them supply and import these arms. So I think that way, at least if you cut off their supply and then you keep attacking them, then, you know, that really helps.
Yeah. Well, the truth is, Mr. President definitely has said and acted like security is his main issue. Yeah. Hopefully his December deadline works out for a lot. I mean, a lot of us want that to happen, so that we can face the business of running the country, especially the economy, which needs his attention for sure. But let's move on now to one of the biggest news from the last week, plus ministerial screenings. It was like a soap opera for a lot of us last week. But the main act didn't show up yet, or hasn't shown up yet for a lot of people. Former Governor Rotimi Amechi of Rivers State, he has been left or saved for Tuesday. How's the screening gone for you so far? How do you think it's been?
Well, personally, it's the highlight of the screening, if I may say, was Fashola. It was really interesting to...
You spent almost 2 hours there.
I know, even they were there, they were supposed to do about 15 minutes. But it's good to see... I've always been a big Fashola supporter, and I really believe in what he does. And it was really interesting to see him, you know, come in and, you know, have all those ideas on how to, like, handle that office, like, once he, like, stepped in. But still the list, I'm still very, you know, underwhelmed by the list, because I expected more. You know, before, you know, Buhari came into office, it was all about change, and then we're here and we're kind of like stuck with the same people. I felt like, you know, the list should have had more people, more new faces, people that are still credible, people that can still do the job, but giving a chance to more people that can actually, you know, get this going. But I don't know, the list itself kind of made me feel like,